Yo, what's going on, everyone? Good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, wherever it is you may be tuning in from. Obviously, as usual, these podcasts go up on a YouTube on Sunday. They go up on the other platforms on the Friday, though we've had a few issues past couple of weeks that have hopefully been, rectified at least. Kit. Anyway, as per usual, the music we came into today was one of the part of the plan songs. Let me try and remember the name of it. I think it was What to Do When. When my Spotify loads back up, because I closed it before even doing the name of it. Anyway, so this week we have obviously myself, Intrepidus1, and my co-host, Enraged Kitsune. You want to say hello, Kit?
Another week, another episode. Welcome in.
Yeah, it was What to Do When, so there you go. And then this week joining us, actually we tried to get him to join us a couple of weeks back, but he was a bit busy. But this week proves like a great catalyst anyway, because for one, he achieved a milestone that we wanted to talk about when we was going to have him on a couple of weeks back, and two, I do believe you'd have to confirm or deny it when I get him to say hi in a second. But I do believe this is the first podcast he's appeared on, and that is a Mr. NuubIRL. Do you want to say hi, Noob?
Yo, hello there, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I'm NuubIRL, and yes, this is my first podcast ever.
Hey, it was a pleasure to have you, my friend.
It's a pleasure to be
I still
here.
remember when Baggy, anybody who's not sure who Baggy is, Baggy Noodle Arms is admin of the clan that I'm in. I was chilling with him, hanging out as clanmates typically do. And he said he'd been interacting with you a bunch on like Twitter, and he didn't have the chance to raid you yet, and he knew you streamed, but he'd interacted with you a bunch on Twitter, and I was like, oh cool, someone new that he's gonna raid. And typically I'll go in, I'll like chill, hang out, and I'm like, alright, this is a cool dude, I'll follow them in case I feel like watching them again. And then a lot of the time you get lost on my following list, because even if I look at it right now, I've got in excess of 40 or 50 people online. But something just grabbed me, like when I hopped in on that raid about you. You were just like so genuine. You said you was honest about it the other day. Like you were saying, you was crying because of how much love you'd been shown with regards to getting your affiliate and all that. Like I said, it was something so genuine about you that just came across instantly. And there's one thing I've always said is I pride myself on being a good judge of character. So if I think that you personally, if I think you are a good dude or something, the likelihood is, at least so far, is 9 out of 10 times they're pretty much a good dude or chick, or whatever other label. So yeah, I was pretty happy to obviously meet you then, but now a couple weeks back, and then again this week, offer you a place to come and chat about yourself on the podcast. I mentioned obviously you hit a milestone. Do you want to let everybody know what milestone it was and approximately when you hit it?
Yes. Okay. Thank you. By the way, you're too sweet. So many compliments. I'm so appreciative. So the milestone that he is referring to is I hit affiliate. I think it's been 3 days now. it's either been 2 or 3 days, but I hit affiliate 3 days ago. I went from an average of 2 viewers to like overnight. Like I gained like 300 followers in a matter of 2 days on Twitter. On Twitch, my viewership like skyrocketed. I'm sitting at an average of like 10 viewers now. I got I got rated. Like everybody was like showing me so much love. Like everybody in the community is like hopping on my Twitter. I was just like freaking out. One thing you're gonna find out about me is I'm a huge crybaby. I cry over everything. I cry when I'm happy. I cry when I'm sad. I cry when I'm mad. It was just so overwhelming, but not in a bad way. It was like probably one of the most wonderful experiences I've had in life, and I'm just so thankful for this like opportunity and so hyped for everything that we can do next.
Yeah. So just for a time period, I reached out to you the day after my birthday, which was Friday the 12th. So I reached out to you on the Saturday the 13th, asking if you would like to be on the episode that we did on the 18th,
Yes.
which I believe, Kit, correct me if I'm wrong, was Cephalopod.
Just having a look.
Or was that the week before?
Why don't I have dates for these? 10 was Seth, 11 was
Yeah.
Civics. So it was one of
Yeah.
those two.
So it was Civics that we had on that week. Because this is obviously episode 30. Yeah, because we had Dryder last week. Yeah, so we had Dryder last week, Civics, and then Seth. Yeah, so Seth was the day before my birthday. But anyway, so and we basically my whole thing with asking you then is because one of the big things we try to do with the podcast, we've covered this I think last week, if not the week before, with Civics, because Civics did bring a bunch of people through because he was, you know, streaming at the time. He came in, raided us to, you know, have the conversation going with his community in the chat, asking questions and all that. And basically, one of the things we ideally want to do with this podcast and the whole thing of the rising ships mantra that you'll see on my Twitter is we live by a thing of rising tides raise all ships. So I have, you know, probably anywhere from 3 to 8 people that would typically just hang out in my stream. If they're not talking, fine, you know, lurkers be the lifeblood of Twitch, let's face it. The real MVPs. But I see you, for instance, Noob, going for your affiliate, and I'm like, I want to help this dude. He's a sound dude. He deserves it, etc., etc. So, any chance I had, I would raid you, give you that bump in average, so that potentially you'd get it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So that's like the whole thing with the rising ships is like I want to help as many people I feel, at least myself, or like as a community that my little portion of Twitch has built, we feel is deserving of, you know, being affiliate and everything that comes with it, you know, channel points and etc., and actually appearing to be making steps, as you said, along the journey, rather than, you know, oh, okay, I'm affiliate now, I can stop. Like, one thing I sort of stand by Amaze on, in a sense of when he says check mark is just a checkpoint, it's the same with affiliate. Like, I know obviously affiliate is the first step on that journey to checkmark, but you don't just like get to a certain point and stop, is essentially what he's trying to say, and that I very much subscribe to that ideology. So yeah, that's one of the things that we want to try and do. And also part of that is there are communities that I'm part of and that Kit's part of that we've made friends with the streamer. So Wraithbound CA, who's the lead singer of Part of the Plan, the song that we just had playing as we came in, we had him on episode 4. We had another friend like that I met Wraith through on episode 2. On episode 3 we had Fiend, who I met Kit through. and I met Fiend through Anubis. Like, we're all interconnected. And so one of the things that we are trying to do with this podcast, and that the way I approached Kit to be my co-host on here, is I want to take all of those communities and give them one central point to look at and go, okay, well, so for instance, Otis is now a part of Sev's community, which is the friend I met Wraithbound through, because I raided Sev one day when Otis was in my chat, and they vibed and, you know, got on. And it's like, I want to give them a one central point, even if it's, you know, okay, I know the podcast is going to go up on Spotify on a Friday. I'm going to listen to it, see if there's any other streamers I can check out that I really think will vibe with. And if you're a creator yourself, you can, you know, potentially reach out and do, you know, a co-stream of, you know, some Apex, some Destiny, whatever game both of you are playing at that point. Or, you know, maybe you just meet new creators that you want to watch if you're not a creator yourself. And even if you are a creator yourself and you don't see yourself co-streaming with a particular person, then you meet some people that maybe you could check out in the morning on your way to work. Or, you know, because some streamers do work other jobs alongside doing their stream. And overall, just connect the communities that we're a part of to one central, like, source, if you know what I mean. So, bring them together. And that's where the rising ships comes from, because hashtag support smaller streamers, it's kind of obvious in what it means. And I was getting fed up of seeing it on every other tweet from a, you know, non-affiliate or an affiliate. It's like, come and support me because hashtag support small streamers. No, like, you shouldn't be using it in that way. You should be essentially, you know, saying, I'm going to go live, come and support me if you want. And that's, so rising ships is sort of being more secretive about it, but meaning the exact same thing.
Like, something that I've really noticed about the support small streamers hashtag, and there's a reason that I've never at any point put a hashtag saying support me or come by. Like, I've never sat down on one of my tweets and gone, you should come by. I've gone, stop by if you want to. Always, because I've seen a lot of people use support small streamers under follow for follow posts. Use support small streamers, like, spam the hashtag over every post that they make. And it's like, I don't believe that that's what content creation is about. Like,
exactly.
Like, they'll sit there and they'll be like, yeah, no, you should support me because I'm a small streamer and I'm trying to grow. But they're not giving anybody any substance or anything. That, like, to get support, you should be able to provide value to people. It's like, it's about bringing value to the table. And I don't feel like I've never subscribed to the idea of support small streamers because of the way that I've seen it been used. But I really like the mantra that you have going, because it's like, when one person grows, everybody else around them grows just by being present and being there and being active. It's not a, like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is like, don't just be like, essentially, we covered it a couple of weeks back in a sense of, I think, I can't remember who it was, but somebody said, you know, when it comes to, we asked them if they had any, like, tips for, you know, growing streamers, etc. I can't remember who it was. Kit might remember, but they said networking, and I says, you know what, to an extent, I agree. And they went, what? Okay, go ahead, and I'll you know, see what we say, see if we agree to disagree or whatever. And I says, well, to a degree, yeah, you can say, you know, networking, but for me, it's not so much networking in a sense of, oh, I'm networking to get follows, to, you know, get these people to come and hang out in my stream for myself. For me, it's, so, like, I would consider yourself, Kit. Although me and Kit live in the same country and we're, like, what, 2 to 3 hours away from each other, like, and obviously UK is a whole lot smaller than like the US, for example. We've never met, but I would consider you guys, as well as, you know, people like Lee that we've had on, Otis, Five Club, like people that we've had on from not only from the UK but also from the US. I would consider them all my friends because I've hung out with them in streams. I've, you know, gone back and forth with them on Twitter. We've had discussions in chats and stuff, and it's not just, oh, okay, this guy's a streamer, I am a streamer, let's make content together so he can grow off of me and I can grow off of him. Do you know what I mean? It's mutually actual friends. Like, if they need something, they need help with anything, they ask me if I know. Vice versa is exactly the same. You know, just like you would a friend to face if it's, you know, a problem in real life with, I don't know, a girlfriend, you know, a work thing, whatever it may be. And you know what? I think that personally, and that's the part of why a lot of the people I've brought on, I've always like introduced them as, you know, like, how are you, my friend? Or we've got our friend such and such with us this week. So there's been a couple of people that I've said to Kit, okay, I've got this person coming on. He's gone and followed them like that day because he's never met them. But then I've gone back like 2 or 3 days later and he's in there chatting away with them. Like, because, you know, I'm a firm believer of your community are an extension of you. So if there is content that I watch that I like, i.e. I watch you, Noob, I enjoy your content, the likelihood is the people who come and watch my content are going to like you as well, because, you know, my content is going to have some similarities, because we all take, even if it's non-intentional, we all take inspiration from each other. Do you know what I mean? We all take inspiration from people who we watch.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So like this podcast, big inspiration was Amaze. Another big inspiration was Maru with the filler.
I love the filler.
Exactly. And when he actually announced that, you know, he wasn't going to be doing streaming anymore, he's not going to be doing the filler anymore because of, you know, time constraints and going back to work, or I can't remember the exact tweet that he tweeted out, but I just turned around to him and said, you know what, I'd never mentioned it to him before, but I tweeted at him. I says, you know what, mate, big respect, firstly, you know, do what you got to do, but also know that you inspired somebody else to do something similar. And I have a podcast that the filler inspired, so just know that. And he just like tweeted back at me, thanks, it means a lot to hear that, and best of luck, sort of thing. Yeah. But yeah, so like overall, that's our goal, if that makes sense. So to have you come on, or trying to have you come on a couple weeks back to try and help you bring your affiliate, and then able to actually get you on this week, and you've got your affiliate earlier on. Like I love the like little story we've sort of got going there. So
and on
I'm going to
from what was
yeah.
I was going to say something I forgot now.
Well,
about a journey.
Yeah.
Some smaller, some large.
Well, I'm going to go to Noob's. I'm going to go to Noob's about section, so he can sort of give us a little intro into himself. I love the like you're about me, by the way. You say like your name itself, and then, you know, the fact that it's noob but spelt different, because what is literacy? Like I read that for the first time the other day and I was like, oh my god, how have I not noticed this before? As somebody who is dyslexic, I find that hilarious.
So
because
I've always gone into chats on like Twitch and like talked and interacted with people, and everybody's like nub, and I'm like, ooh. It doesn't bother me anymore because I know some people just do it to do it. Like everybody knows what it's pronounced like now for the most part, because I've like explained it during interactions. But some people are just like, yeah, no, I'm still gonna call you Nub. And so I thought it would be really funny to throw it into my about me.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Okay, so you say, where is it? I just read somewhere. You say you ain't got no aim, which
I've got
kind of
no
leads us
aim?
on to a you know, further up in your actual like, welcome to NuubIRL. I got no aim. All my gunfights are pain, and I'm trying to live rent free in your brain. I play Apex and D2, and lastly, how you doing? That kind of leads on to something we're gonna cover in a moment. But do you want to give a little intro into who you are and why you decided to like start streaming and stuff like that?
Okay. So my name's Sam. Everybody calls me NuubIRL. You guys are free to call me whatever. It's fine. I'm fine with whatever. I have been playing D2 for 3 years now. I think I started playing just before the release of Forsaken, or was it Shadowkeep? One of them. And I was playing on console. I ran into a few friends. I didn't have Twitch at the time. I was like in high school, doing my thing because I'm only 20. I turned 21 this year, so I was in high school doing my own thing. I like gamed a lot, but I had never really been on Twitch before.
So
I
wow,
had a friend.
an episode where Kit isn't the youngest.
Yes, I'm a young boy.
Kit's
Yeah, no,
23.
nice.
Yeah.
And I'm the
I'm quite
granddad, I'm
old.
28.
28?
That's
You're not that old. Don't worry about it. Shoot.
But yeah, continue.
Yeah, no, I had never seen Twitch before. My friend was like, "You should go check out streamers on Twitch." I said, "Well, what do they do?" And they're like, "They play video games for people. They entertain people. They spend time with people. They interact." And so I popped into a few chats. I think I started out with all the big random streamers like Frostbolt,
Just casually
like
calls them
I
randoms.
because I had been more a YouTube person, like Frobo, like Chibi Robo, like just people like that. I had been watching them, and I was like, this is kind of cool. And then about a year later, I ran into Grenader Jake on Twitch. I started watching his content. I got really into it. Um, about 6 months from then, I met this guy who's now branded as Clean Plays. Wonderful dude. He's actually the owner of the clan that I'm in. You'll notice when I play D2, I'm in the most rewarding clan ever. So Clean Plays invited me to the clan. He's real friendly. He does a lot of PvP help. He played with me lots on Xbox. I'm waiting for I'm waiting for crossplay to come out because I can't wait to be able to vibe with the homie again.
Nice.
I ran into him and I absolutely fell in love with streaming. I met a few other content creators through him. I was like falling in love with the craft, and fast forward, we're in what it was 2019, fall of 2019. I'm going to college. I'm starting my first semester at college. I'm in a bad place in life, honestly. Like I'm in a terrible mental state. I live places I don't want to live. I'm really poor. I can't find work. I can't buy the things that I want. I'm like not comfortable with anything. And so I'm going off to college on a full ride, but my head wasn't in it. Like I'd go to class, I'd have like binged 36 hours being awake and go to class, fall asleep in class, like doing all the things that you shouldn't do as a student. And it didn't matter how much work that I did in class, like it didn't matter how much work that I did outside of class because I was falling asleep during lectures. I was missing vital parts of the work. And so with fast forward to the end of that semester, I'm still watching streamers. I'm still loving it. My college advisor is saying, "Hey, are these classes hard or something you might want to consider changing your major?" And I go, "No, they're not hard. I just genuinely can't stay awake." But like just running through all the things in my head, I get like really depressed for a little bit. I spend like 2 months mulling it over. Um, the pandemic hits. We're like in spring of 2020. Pandemic hits. They send us home in February. They say we can't be at school anymore. We had a big COVID outbreak. Our campus was like massive hotspot, and so they sent us home. And I remember going in a clean stream and being like, "Yeah, no, I'm not. I haven't been having a really great time. I basically failed my first semester of college, and just when I was getting my grades right, they sent us home for online classes, which did not work for me. Like, not in the slightest,
Which is
like at
funny
all.
because you think about it, like you enjoyed streaming and stuff, and you interacting with streamers as well. You would think that that would work better for you.
Yeah, this
But for
online
anybody
learning
who doesn't,
is
know, who might be listening from like the UK, college in America is the equivalent to our university because
yes,
we go like up to year 11 is like you have to go to school. Then you have sixth form or college, which is up until you are 19, but they are optional. And then if you do well enough in those and want to go on to do like university and stuff and have the money to go, that's when you go.
yeah.
But yeah, carry on.
I remember going in a clean stream, like really, really sad, really, really beat up. And I'm just like, I'm not having a good time. Life's not really going the way that I want it to, but I'm just trying to do something because I can't sit around sad. I sit around sad, that's not going to spell out good things. It's not good for my mental health at that point. And so I'm hanging out with Clean, and he introduces me to more and more of his community through raiding and people coming in and chatting. And I'm like, wow, what if I could do this? Like, what if this was something that I could do every day? Um, like, and just from that point forward, I was like, hey, Clean, I'm gonna stream. And he was like, do it, man. And I was like, I'm gonna stream. And I said, I'm gonna build a setup and I'm gonna stream. I started on my Xbox. You won't find any VODs from my Xbox. You won't find any VODs from 2020. Um, all of those are like gone, deleted. They are non-existent. Not that I was embarrassed of them, but it was just that when I got my PC, I deleted all my old VODs and started fresh in January of this year. And so I had been streaming and practicing, and let me tell you, I'll say I've spent about 150 hours absorbing YouTube content about things that can make your stream better, how to set up a stream, what you should have in your stream, the things that you should do as an entertainer, how you should interact with people, how you should network, how you should make friends. Like I've watched hundreds of those videos, thousands of those videos, and I can honestly tell you that it's not that they've been a waste of time. They've been such valuable information, but they didn't prepare me any more for the task of streaming than I would have been had I went without the majority of them.
Mm.
No, like they were really good content, and I appreciate having the information in the back of my head, but nothing prepares you for hopping in front of the camera and pressing the button and the trial and error and the practice that you have to put in.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's
A lot of people believe that streaming's easy and that you just sat there playing a game. But you don't realize that if there isn't anybody in your chat like talking away and you've just got lurkers, especially when you've got the option to hide your your view account like we do.
yep.
You don't necessarily know that anybody's there, so you just have to talk almost as like you're a crazy person. Just talk to yourself about what you're doing in the game in case people are lurking. They can't like technically watch. They may be just listening. Like so often I will have my phone in my pocket with my headphone in as I'm going to fetch my kids from school. I can't necessarily be talking in chat. I'm lurking. I'm giving somebody a view. I'm listening to the content and being entertained by them. And a lot of people don't realize that that's why we call lurkers like the real MVPs of Twitch, is because, well, yeah, you're not. So if somebody comes into chat, let's say Kit comes in my chat periodically, like most of the time Kit's in my chat, like, let's face it.
I might not always be talking, but I'm probably there.
Anytime he's talking, I'm going backwards and forwards with him, yeah? So it's encouraging me to talk, it's encouraging any new people that might pop into my stream to go, oh, look, this guy's interacting with his chat. But at the same time, I still appreciate Kit as much when he's just sat there lurking. Do you know what I mean? If he's spoken earlier on in the stream and then goes, okay, I'm gonna chill for a bit and lurk because, you know, I've got this, that, and the fifth to do, then I go, all right, fair enough, and I'll speak to you later. But then later on, if I need something done, like, I don't know, a shout out because he's a mod in my chat, I'll go, Kit, can you get a shout out for so and so person, please? If I'm not like able to do it myself. Or if I want something clipping and I'm in the middle of a game, I just say, yo, Kit, could you clip what just happened like 5 seconds ago? And 9 times out of 10, the next thing that I get commented in my chat is either said shout out or said clip. Like, because he's always listening. Like, always. Even when he's streaming himself, he's listening. And we've proven this fact, me and Fiend, because Fiend turned around and says, hey, Kit, give us a wave. On his stream, and I go over to Kit's stream, and all you see is Kit looking like a weirdo, waving at his camera. Because Fiend has got Kit's stream up on his. It's brilliant.
I don't just wave. I'm normally sort of along the lines of really Fiend again.
Yeah, you have a disappointing look on your face. But yeah, so like.
Lurkers are genuinely like one of the most important aspects of Twitch. Like, in all honesty, like just the people that come and hang out, like they don't even have to chat. Like, so I know for some people they hide their viewers because it gives them peace of mind. I know for me personally, hiding my viewers gives me anxiety because I don't know how many people are watching. The unknown gives me anxiety. The only reason I hid my viewers on the stream where I hit affiliate is because I knew what was happening on Twitter at the time, and I said no chance. If I see this, I'm gonna freak out. Like at that point, the notion of seeing how many viewers I had was like scarier than the notion of not knowing. But usually I keep my viewer count on at all times because it's comforting. Like, it's honestly comforting to know that you have that one lurker in your chat. Like, seeing one viewer inside of your like OBS layout is it feels really good. Like, especially when you're just starting and you're new.
I think the point most people say though is like, if you focus too much, so you're not focusing on it, you're just saying that the number, seeing the number of 1 or 2 or 5 or 20, whatever it may be, just makes you feel good, makes you feel appreciated by somebody, even if they're not chatting in chat. Which I to be honest, I respect. At the same time, I think what people were trying to say is don't dwell on that number. If that number is 0, don't feel like you're, you know, any less valued as a creator. Like, there's been countless times where people have played other games. We pointed it out before the podcast started. A very good content creator streams Destiny, has in excess of 100 viewers. Outriders came out today. Excuse me, voice crack. Outriders came out today. That person is streaming that today and has below 50. Not far below 50, but below 50. So there are people there that are just for the game, which personally, and we talked about this before the podcast, and you kind of agreed. I believe if you are just there for the game, you could be basically watching anyone at this point. So, well, yeah, if anybody new comes in and watches me playing Destiny or playing Apex or whatever, I'm going to do my best to entertain you so you think, you know what, this guy's a cool guy. No matter what game he's playing, I'm going to watch. By that same token, if you're only there for Destiny or you're only there for Apex, and you're not even going into a stream with an open mind of, maybe I'll find a new creator I could watch play any game, I really am not, you know, trying to change myself. Like, if I feel like playing Destiny one day and you come into my chat and go, oh, why aren't you playing Apex? Like, I'm not just going to go, oh, okay, let me switch over to Apex. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not what we are here for. We're streaming to have fun, not only for ourselves, but also any other viewers that may be there. And a lot of people, like, so I have Otis come and stop by in my chat quite regularly. Lee, Solidus Lee, whenever he's off, you know, off work or whatever, tends to be in my chat. It's early morning for him. You know, a few people we've had on the podcast as well, like in general, have just ended up in my chat because I'm quite early in the morning for US. Like it's first thing in the morning, you wake up and boom, I'm there, sort of thing. And I've been going for like an hour or two because, you know, we're 5 hours ahead of Eastern here.
You?
Excuse
like,
me.
I get off work at 6 a.m. and you've already been live for an hour or two.
Yeah. So it's like I can sort of be your wake up, okay, let me get ready for the day, or in your case that you get off for work, you like okay, I'm gonna wind down from work, just chill and watch a bud play Apex, watch a bud play, you know, Destiny or whatever. But my point being, like I said, I'm personally at least not gonna just turn around and go, okay, well, screw everybody else that's here to enjoy my content because it's me, and I'm going to conform to you because you want to see me play a certain game. You know what I mean? I am going to play whatever I want to play. And I think a lot more people need to be like that. We also discussed before the podcast went live, someone that's been doing that is Glad, and he is very, very diversified in the way of content creation. Let's face it. He built his community mainly on Destiny, I would say. You know, around the fact that he is a very good player. Redeem have won, what is it now, 3 world's first races in Destiny raids. Glad being, I believe, part of 2, if not all of those teams. So, you know, he's got a reputation for being a very good player. But the fact that he can go and play another game and basically double his viewership just goes to show that it's you know, you don't need to tie yourself to one game because that's what chat needs to see. It's go and play whatever the hell you feel like playing, essentially. But yeah. Speaking of playing things how and playing what you want to play, you recently and this goes back to you saying you've got no aim. You said at the beginning of the podcast, well, before the podcast went live, your aim is now crispy as hell, or you were pretty proud of it because you made the transition to M&K.
Yes.
So I've got your thread up right now about experimentation is the key. You know, with your transition, what is the word, Kit? Acclimation.
Yeah, acclimatization with the controller scheme. So, you know, getting used to it, figuring out, you know, how are you holding your mouse to move things around was one of them, you know.
Like, there's so much to unpack when you're like there's so much to unpack when you're sitting around and you have to learn a brand new input method. I've been playing on controller all my life. About 2 months ago, I tried to switch over to mouse and keyboard. Super overwhelming. I had no idea anything about DPI, sensitivity, any of it. I didn't know what I was doing. I felt really sick yesterday. I still don't really feel great, but I'm getting better. And so I sat down, I took some time off, and I decided to research everything that I could about mouse and keyboard because I've wanted to switch for a long time. I just haven't found it accessible because I haven't understood it. And so I found out a lot of interesting key points. If you guys have the time and want me to, I can run down the list and explain the things that I learned and how vital and important I feel they are.
Well, one of the things I will just I will say is there's a few of these that hit home with me because I personally moved to PC in December. So you said you started afresh in January.
Yep.
Is that when you first played on PC, or did you play before that a little bit?
I got my PC in October, but I was exclusively playing on control. I was playing every game on controller.
Right. Well, see, I got my PC middle of December, about 16th. I was playing on controller until my Tartarus came. So for anybody who doesn't know, it's kind of like a mini keyboard, but it's got a D-pad on where I would put my thumb. So it makes it easier to play because I can just bind my movement to my arrow keys, which is what that D-pad is, and then I can move and play as if I'm playing on controller with movement, but also have the feeling of, you know, playing on keyboard and mouse because all my abilities are bound to keys like a keyboard. Alternatively, I could use WASD to be moving, to get used to that, and have those arrow keys bound to something else, like, I don't know, different abilities, or to how it is on controller, bound to different emotes. But yeah, I was backwards and forwards between my keypad, because it's essentially what a Tartarus is, keypad and mouse, and my controller from the 24th until about the 26th, 27th. I played community customs with Pigeon on stream with him. It was just, you know, having a laugh in private matches, bunch of people in the community, and basically what I was doing, I was just playing on M&K, and then when I got annoyed to the point where I was doing so bad, you know, not helping my team out enough, I would then switch to my controller, play a game where, you know, I was, you know, playing quite well because, as I said earlier, I'm 28. I started playing games when I was 5, so 23 years on a controller. Muscle memory just doesn't fly out the window. Do you know what I mean? I can pick up a controller. I play Apex on controller. I can actually, you know, essentially shit on people when it comes to a controller. Keyboard and mouse, I'm still getting used to it. But one of those games that has been consistently, yes, you're a keyboard and mouse player, is now Destiny, since the day after those community customs. I went into 2 raids, the day after and the day after that. So it was the Saturday and the Sunday, I believe, with Grandad Gaming. I did the entirety except the boss fight on M&K, on my Hunter, and then I did the boss fight as on controller because I didn't want to fuck it up. And then the very next raid, I turned around to them and said, you know what, I'm pretty proud of myself for the last raid. And they went, why? I was like, because I was M&K all the way up, and I hadn't touched M&K all that much until today and yesterday when I played Community Customs with Pigeon. And they were like, oh, well, you did really well. Like, do it again. So I did it again. And then I got to the boss fight, and I was like, right, do I do what I did last time and switch to my controller, or do I try it on M&K? And they were like, up to you, bud. I was like, okay, I'll try it on M&K. And we got so close to doing it, and it wasn't like me being on M&K and not being used to the input method that was a detriment to the team. It was just, you know, communication was all over the place and so on and so forth. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna keep going with this, if that's all right. And everyone went, yeah, it's cool. And then we completed it. Then the very next day, I did the entire raid again with Grandad and another team, again with M&K the entire way through. And then that was basically just the switch in my brain that went, okay, I've done some of the hardest PvE content. It's not the hardest, but it's some of the hardest on M&K. I'm clearly used to it enough now to where I can go into Crucible and play. And so I was like running around on strikes, running around in, you know, patrol zones, just forcing myself to do M&K until I was comfortable enough to where I was like slide jumping and throwing nades as I'm jumping through the air and all the fancy stuff you can do, you know, when you're used to an input method. And once I was like that, I was like, okay, Crucible time. And I went into Crucible. And I was like, I'm forcing myself to play even if it tanks my KD. I don't care about a stat. Like, this is the input method I'm supposed to be playing on this platform. I'm going to force myself to do it. And so, obviously, I did, and ever since I've been doing it. I need to do the same thing with Apex, but I think I haven't one of the things you said somewhere in this thread is like keybinds. Where is it? Keybinds number 7. Most unique and fun part of learning M&K. Pick what's comfy, and what is easy to remember for every action. I think I need to find mine for Apex because I haven't.
I actually have a massive recommendation on that. What's helped me significantly understand Apex more. I started M&K learning Top Tree Dawn Warlock in D2. And so I have all of my keys binded so that I never have to move my left hand from my WASD keys, like ever. I can press everything in the game from right there or my mouse buttons. I have my Apex settings set up pretty much identical. Every action that you can think of is almost the same. I have my slide,
mine's pretty similar.
Like I have it all binded that way, and it's made learning it so much easier. I feel like the easiest way to make your M&K play more consistent and better is to make all of your keybinds between similar genres of games as similar as they can be.
Yeah, that's one thing
That makes sense.
I was trying to do, but you know, Destiny doesn't have a ping, unfortunately, and Apex does. It's like trying to find where I can put it where it's not going to be, you know, in the way.
I personally still have my ping binded to like you click in your scroll wheel.
See, I have mine switch weapon because that's what it is in Destiny. But yeah, rather than go through, you said you wanted to. If we had time, I don't think we will.
No.
Because we're only just getting towards the first like topic, if you will. One thing I will say is we've got this linked in our we've got this linked in our doc. So what I will do for anybody who is watching on YouTube or listening on the platforms, if you want to go to my YouTube description on the videos, I will link this thread. So if anybody needs any help with M&K, believing that you can switch from controller, you can go and check out this thread from Noob. Like I said, he might have only just switched, and I've been playing since, like I said, beginning of January, basically, I'll say. But there is a few things in here that hit home with me. It was like, yeah, you know what? That's a good point. I need to do that myself. Like the keybinds thing. I need to remember, okay, I need to work out what keybinds are going to work for me on Apex that are more matching with my... Because they are basically the exact same as my Destiny ones, but they're not, 100%. So I need to sort of work out where I can change things to make them as close as possible.
Definitely feel free to ask questions in the thread. If anybody's watching this at a later time, don't feel like it won't be well maintained if you're watching this, say, 4 weeks later. If you drop a question in the thread, I'm going to reply to it, or somebody who's watching the thread is probably going to reply to it and be able to help you. So don't worry about that.
So, with that being said, last week we covered... it was last week, wasn't it, Kit?
It was last week, yeah. We did mention this last week.
We covered a live stream, and we had a great laugh about it, to be honest, with Dryder Games. Where there was a live stream of a stop sign that was pulling in massive viewership. That was in Salem, Massachusetts. It blew up thanks to going viral on TikTok, but at the peak of its popularity, it went offline. And since Wednesday night, it's been dormant. Like, they've not had anything. And then, so apparently somebody commented in the chat, the channel's owner said, it's been real. And basically, long story short, it looks as if there was an address leak. Neighbors received pizza that they obviously didn't order. And so people were like, okay, this is a bit weird. People know where we live now. we need to stop this, and so they stopped it.
Yeah. So there's the seemingly non-stop stream of the stop sign had to stop.
Yeah. So kind of ironic. But yeah, so obviously that's kind of relating to in real life. So we'll cover that. Get your sort of opinion on that, Noob. As well as a fitness streamer accidentally exposed a shoplifter. Apparently.
I watched the clip of this, and he sort of like he put his camera sort of down on the trolley, and then picked up this pizza box and like was reading off the nutritional info at the back and was comparing them to like other pizzas and stuff and figuring out which one to get. And in the background, you just see someone walk around the corner, and just sort of like slide, like it wasn't anything small, however, it was like fairly big. Just sort of like slide it into their jacket on the sly.
So yeah, it's funny as well because that's the way I look at it. Is like these IRL streams, because yes, you got a person on the stop sign, but anything can happen in IRL. To go with something we covered with Rafe when we had him on the podcast, if you're out in town, anyone could be playing DMCA music loud as fuck out of their car that's on a radio station. Can you get in trouble for that? Do you know what I mean? It's unfair on the creator in that respect.
A slightly interesting take on that specific scenario.
In
that you can get away with that because it's what's the name of it? Not circumstantial.
Plausible deniability.
Yeah, so like it wasn't you, it wasn't the main focus, it just happened to be in the background.
Yeah.
And there is a clause for that in UK copyright law. You can use that as a defense, but you probably won't get to a point where you defend it.
Yeah. So
to my knowledge, it's pretty much the same over here in the US.
So with the stop sign, obviously, it's a danger. It's a danger if you show where in an IRL setting you are. People can find you. People can swat you. People can get random pizzas delivered to your neighbors, etc., etc. What are your guys' thoughts like on that? Because personally, that's kind of, in a sense, worrying.
It's
for me.
In some respects, like obviously with that stop cam, it was constantly showing that one road the whole time, and you could see, like you'd seen people who lived in the area recognized it and were doing like cartwheels and stuff on stream, just like sort of waving at the camera and everything.
Yeah.
Like that's sort of lighthearted stuff, but at the same time, when you've got something like anything could be going on in the background and you wouldn't know. Particularly with IRL streams, when you get on the bus, you don't know who else is on the bus.
I feel like with the stop sign thing, I feel like maybe it was an oversight on the part of the creators who were doing the stop sign stream. But when you do a stream at any geographic location, you have to think about safety. Because if you live in the general area that you're doing that kind of thing at, and you have an always on feed of something that can be landmarked, triangulated, and figured out just from one image, it's not that it's not smart, it's just that it's not safe. And you kind of have to be really cognizant and really like worried about those kinds of things, because there are people who will do some crazy things out in the world, and some of them may be good intentioned. Like I bet somebody thought it was funny that they were sending pizzas, but then there are also people out here who are creepy or will take advantage or who will swat you. Like you have to be like real cognizant of the fact that you are a real person and you have to protect yourself too, even if the platform is the internet. It's like there's a false sense of security over the internet because you're behind a screen and you're like, these people will never get to me. But it's like you have to realize some very real things have happened to streamers, especially in the past few years.
Yeah. As the platform becomes more prominent, you're gonna attract more and more dickheads, if you will.
Pretty much.
Speaking of dickheads, do we think that this shoplifter, you know, let's say the shop wanted to take him to court for whatever reason, do we think that this stream clip could be used as evidence, or is it like dismissible? Because obviously
No.
it's recording the dude without his permission. You know what I mean? Accidentally, yes, but there's a big frown upon that in most countries. You know what I mean? You have to put up signs saying the CCTV, etc., etc. Like,
Yeah, well, I'd say that you could use it as the basis to start an investigation and then use the CCTV footage from the same time as the actual evidence.
yeah.
So I know here it really wouldn't matter if they had permission or not. If you get caught on camera doing something illegal, your permission doesn't have to be in that video for it to be used as evidence. However, you also have to consider that in America, losses under $100 are only finable, and in some places, losses under $500 are only finable. That's why in America, when the PS5s came out, everybody was talking about breaking in and stealing a PS5. It's a loss under $500. In some states, you'd get fined for less than the value of the thing that you stole.
Wow. I did not know that. That's dumb. I'm sorry, but that is dumb. Holy
And that's
hell.
if you get caught. If you get caught on video, not only does it have to be clear enough for them to prove it was you would have to be a person that they really wanted to prosecute and take to court to push the evidence on. Like you would have to be somebody who has a criminal history that they've been trying to get for a while. Otherwise, you're gonna get off with this for free. Like, it.
Yeah, sounds weird.
Welcome to America.
I mean, and isn't it by like you said, a state by state basis as well? So
Yes, like it's pretty much most of them are
states
state by
like
state.
the individual countries essentially, aren't they? In a certain capacity.
Kind of. They all have to abide by like a universal
by-
set of laws, but then they can
It's
make their
okay.
own.
So, states within the US is sort of like other countries within the EU.
Yeah, that's what I was implying.
Like you've got
we have to follow
a
EU
set of
law,
things,
but
yeah, you got a set of things that are like, hey, you really should be following these, but then other things you can make your own decisions on.
although now Britain isn't part of EU, we don't have to, which is kind of dangerous, but at the same time, you know.
There are still some of them that we said, okay, we're gonna follow them, you know, the obvious things, you know, human rights and shit like that.
So
I do know, however, that in America, losses over $500 are always either federal misdemeanors or federal felonies, which means jail time and or prison time for them.
Sheesh.
Universally.
I don't know how we're gonna do this. I'm just gonna say some random stuff until you open the next tab.
Well, I was gonna transition because you know, it's a fitness streamer. He spends a lot of time out in the sun. Summer, hello.
Yeah, a bit of a stretch, but
you love my transitions, Kit. Come on.
I honestly didn't see how we were gonna make that one work. But yeah,
it's me. I'm the one that comes up with the title. Like legit, every week he's like, "Have you got a title for me?" Because I have no clue, and I'm just like, and then I goes, "Check the doc," and he goes, "That'll work."
The annoying thing is that you come up with a title, and then I look at it and go, "That's so close," and then I tweak it a little bit.
Yeah.
For the thing.
But yeah,
it's just enough of a like, oh yeah, that's the sort of line we're going on, rather than what did we talk about? Which one of them do we focus on? All that kind of stuff. But yeah, the as you would expect it to return during the summer month, the summer games done quick. Charity streams are coming back in July.
This is basically speed running a bunch of games for charity, right?
Yes, a lot of different speedrunners doing a load of different games, all in the name of a good cause.
Can get behind that.
Yeah.
Love charity streams now and then. Speaking of which, Kit, do you want to just take the lead on this real quick while I find the tweet? Oh, never mind, I found it. So speaking of charity streams, we do have a friend of ours, mutual friend with a mutual friend with Noob as well, who was in the chat earlier on his alternate account for Twitch, who is doing a charity stream as part of Guardian's mental health on Sunday the 11th. I'm going to mention it today, and then I'm going to mention it on next week's episode as well, just because in fact I might even reach out to him this week and see if he can. I doubt he can because he works nights, but we might have to like shift the podcast around a bit, Kit. Maybe make it a bit earlier later this week. And get Wig to come on, or like at least I'll just mention it again next week. They're going to be raising money for Guardian's mental health. He's on the Sunday morning, and it's going from the Friday the 9th until, you know, they've got some on Friday the 9th. They've got, which is a Guardian's mental health podcast. And then they've got a bunch of people listed on Saturday, including Def. You know who Def is? I've seen him around on Twitter. And then, like I said, Wiggy is opening up Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, which is 2 p.m. here in the UK. So, you know, everybody who can go and, you know, support, even if it's just hanging out in the chat and bringing that that channel, the Guardian's mental health channel, up in the directory. I'm sure they'll all appreciate it. But if you can obviously make a donation then without leaving yourself out of pocket, then I'm sure they'll definitely appreciate that. I think they said I think he said to me the other day when he was talking to me about it off stream, that they're targeting like $2,000, I think, something like that, raised. Maybe a bit more, but I can't remember.
I swear, you have all the most interesting conversations, Trev. Like,
yeah.
You're talking about playing Apex games and stuff, like just before we started. It was like, the roster of people you've played with in Apex is like the who's who directory.
Pretty much. Oh god, actually, you know what? There's one person that's on that who's who directory that I haven't played with that I really want to. Anubis. So Anubis, if by any shade of a miracle that you see this, you want to play, my guy, let me know. But yeah, so like I said, speaking of charities, there's another one that's like sort of closer to home if people want to go and support it. But I'm sure this is also for a great cause. I can't see quickly scanning through what charities they're doing it for.
Usually like cancer charities and hospitals and stuff.
It says that the schedule games charities are still kept under wraps, but will be revealed at a later date. So we don't know yet, anyway. But obviously, if people want to go and like help out, you know, donate if you can, and you know, anybody doing a charity stream, very much appreciate it. Will very much appreciate it. I can tell you that. Because they're usually doing it for a reason. So like, I think I mentioned it before on either on my stream or maybe on one of these podcasts. I did a Macmillan Cancer Research stream years ago for the fact that I'd lost my grandfather to cancer. So, you know, typically we are doing these for a reason. I know part of the reason why WIG is so involved in mental health and Guardians' mental health and that whole thing, but it's not my place to say. If you want to go and find out, like I said, search up Guardians' mental health on Twitch. You will find the channel. And like I said, Sunday morning for the US, Sunday afternoon for us in the UK. He will be live on there, and I'm sure if you ask him, he might, you know, disclose that information, but it's not my place to say, so I won't say anymore. But yeah, getting on to the Destiny topics now, because obviously that's the last of our Twitch
Yeah, fairly
topics.
light on Twitch things this week.
We had the hotfix go live earlier today, which changed a bunch of little changes. A big one that people have been sort of having differing opinions on is there was a little bit of an out of bounds glitch with the Proving Ground strike, which is the new strike. That, you know, you could get up on the edge of the walls and shoot down onto the boss, and you couldn't really do anything about it. They've now changed it so that there's now like a wall there to stop you. You've got to now take on, as they say here, the right of proving on a more even playing field. Speaking of the GM, because this is the GM for this week, we have a couple of tweets from members of the community, basically stating that it was difficult, and I've been watching people play, and it is very difficult. You got Haterade here saying the GM will definitely make or break some Conqueror titles this season because of how difficult it is. Then you've got Toby, who is renowned for being somebody in the community who solos the GMs along with Save the Blade. There's a clip here where he's jumping across doing the mechanics of the strike and gets hit by a stone and it kills him. Personally, I don't think they should be, physicsed in a sense of that little stone right there could make or break a fucking run, and it's actually, in my opinion, it's dumb. But because they're not consistent, they don't follow the same flight patterns every time, like the rocks do in Corrupted, for example. It is just random wherever the tracks, if you will, of the tank send the rocks flying. So I do believe something needs to be done about him personally, but we'll go on to the last sort of relation in this is SkillUp says he's finished the Nightfall. It's such a shitty, boring difficulty model. So the question we asked in our little document that me and Kit have for topics on the podcast is, should it be like this? Should it be this difficult? And it really takes every ounce of fun out of Destiny to have your god-killing guardian hiding like a pussy behind Ursa walls and abusing invis mechanics. Not sure who asked for this sort of content, but I hope you like it. And you know what? To a certain degree, I agree. I don't know how you two feel about this, but we killed Oryx the Taken King. Okay, maybe Noob, you said you started just before Forsaken or just before Shadowkeep, whichever one it was. So your Guardian didn't kill Oryx, but Guardians as a whole, we have proven we've got the power to kill a literal hive god, because it's basically what Oryx was when we killed him. He had absorbed the power of, I think it was Akka, the worm god. And that's where we got the power to take from. That's where the Taken originated. So the fact that we are, going into these GM Nightfalls, and like he says, hiding behind Ursa walls and abusing invis mechanics and can't just, walk in feeling like a badass, and it is kind of dumb to a certain degree. If that makes sense.
I kind of get where the difficulty lies in this, in that like it's supposed to be sort of the highest end of the PV activities
Yeah.
outside of raids, and it's something that is sort of supposed to be like a sort of a stretch goal where you just sort of go, okay, we'll do that eventually, you know, especially with having, you know, if there's 13.25 minimum to get in, you know, you'll have people like, you know, I've reached it. You'll have people who stream the game regularly who will reach that fairly quickly and then go on and do like GM helps and try and get strategies down and everything. But it looks like this Nightfall, this strike in particular, has been quite a sticking point for people in that.
Yeah. I've seen people compare it to Corrupted and Glassway because they have previously been the two like most difficult GMs that we've had, I believe. I don't know. I know you've not long hit 1300 when you did your affiliate stream, right? Noob, so
Yep, I was on the rush to get to 15. I mean, I was on the rush to get to 1300. I'm trying to reach enough. Like, I'm trying to reach enough light level to get a GM in before we get to the end of this season. And so the goal for the stream where I hit affiliate was to reach 1300 because I hadn't presently been there at the time.
Yeah. So, have you made any more progress to potentially getting a GM done, or? I haven't tried this GM yet. I've got plans to try it with Fight Club and Dune Marchers either tomorrow or at the weekend because obviously time zones. The Dune Marchers is from Pacific Northwest. He's from Idaho, so it's like Central Time, like a good 6 hours behind us, and he works. So you know it's kind of hard sometimes for his schedule to line up with mine. And the same with 5. Can't remember where he's from, but he's from further south. But they're both sort of central time, so the time zones kind of screw me over in a sense. And then as I tweeted out, well, last week I think it was, I got a lot of people supporting me on it because obviously I mentioned that it was having an adverse effect on me and my personal mental health, as we just discussed with, you know, the charity thing that Wig's doing. That me streaming Destiny was basically, I wanted to do GMs, I wanted to do raids, I want to do those in a help capacity as well. I want to be able to turn around and say, okay, Noob, as soon as you get to 1325, dude, you see me on, hit me up. I'm gonna get myself and, I know, just because you're here, Kit, I'll use you as an example. Myself and Kit will just get on. We'll get you through all the GMs. You can get your Conqueror title. Don't worry about it. I want to be able to do that because I got the fucking, you know, the background and skill to do it. Hell, one of the things I turned around and said when the first week of
I would question my competency when it comes to.
I mean,
any of the strategies, but with enough enough attempts, we'll get there.
Yeah, but this is the point I made when me and 5 and Dune, we did Sepix Devil's Lair. Alright. That first week of GMs, we did that. I hadn't touched a GM since Lake of Shadows back in Rivals. Right? And that's when, you know, they first brought in like double drops, and I got from the clan that Kit's still in, my old Xbox clan, Legion of Forsaken, I got Sorry I'm Dead and Dares, who anybody who tuned in to me playing Apex the other day with Wig will know. We played some with Dares. We did that, I hadn't touched a GM since. But one of the things that you've got to think of is that was on 30 FPS, right? That was on an Xbox One. Well, I was on an Xbox One X, but still 30 FPS. I'm running a minimum of 60 on my PC. Like, and 9 times out of 10, the only reason I'm at 60 is because of the fact that my screen is a HD TV. I've mentioned this previous podcasts and previously on my personal streams. Like, I've got a 60 FPS limit on most of my games because my screen is a HD TV. It's 1080 60. There is no point in me playing it for 70 FPS. Do you know what I mean? So when we got through Devil's Lair, and I'd seen people dying to, you know, the bit where there was the tanks and the Briggs and all the Overload champions and Barrier champion, a couple of Barrier champions. I'd seen people dying, and we didn't, and we got all the way to the final room, and that's when somebody died, and it just so happened to be Dunes, and the only reason he did die is because me and Five both shot an explosive shank that was right next to Dunes. Dunes was on his Warlock, me and Five were on our Titans, and it's like, we're both running max resilience, let's put it that way. Max intellect, max resilience, and we just both shot this fucking explosive shank, and it blew up, and we're just stood there going, okay, let's go. And Dune's just like, guys, I need picking up. It was kind of funny, but like, I just turned around and said, when we said at the end of that it was a bit of a cakewalk, and they said, whilst yes, this is easier than some GMs in the past, it's by no stretch of the imagination just an easy walk, like anybody could do it. I turn around to him and says, well, let's face it, you guys are used to doing the GMs, so you've got, you know, the skill level there. He goes, yeah. I says, I'm not used to doing GMs, but 2 notches on my bedpost that I've got that are sitting in my emblem inventory are Solo Flawless Pit of Heresy and Solo Flawless Prophecy. And I did both of them on console. You know, like I said, FPS limit, 30 FPS. It's going to be a whole lot. Like, one of the things I said when I first started playing, and Kit can attest to this because I was playing with him and Fiend on GeForce Now, was, holy God, I feel so fast. Because I was running around on top tree Dawn on a Warlock with transversive steps on, and I'm just there going, wow, 60 FPS feels so much better than 30. Oh my God. Like, do you know what I mean? It was one of those things. I feel like there is a certain degree of respect that needs to be put across to people who do those sort of solo flawless attempts and things on console, because those 1 or 2 frames difference where you survive on PC are 10 to 15 frames of difference on console, because the frames are going by so much slower. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. What was the weapon roll for the GMs this week?
this week is Adept Palindrome.
Yep,
Okay.
Pally.
So last week we had the Adept Shadow Price, which Paul Tassi here on the article, asking whether GM Nightfall's rewards expose massive economy flaws. You know,
after a quick read through this, there is some points to be made in that if you're able to farm out Grandmasters, like if you've got you and a couple of other people who have got the time to spend just running through them and running through them, if you look at how much time you would spend doing a couple of GMs to get some masterwork materials compared to what you would have to do in other game modes to get the same materials, is a massive time saving.
One thing I will say as well is like something here hits home right here. Just scanning through it, he says, Grandmaster Nightfalls expose a pretty serious flaw in the entire economy of Destiny in terms of how they reward Ascendant Shards in particular. To this point, Ascendant Shards have been the most rare material in the game. You need 1 to masterwork a single piece of legendary armor and 3 to masterwork an exotic. To 98% of players, that seems like a fortune. Believe it or not, with all the time I've put in, and I've played Destiny even since coming to PC, and I could load up Steam right this second and show you in what basically is 4 months, I've put in over 600 hours because I don't work, and my fiance is so understanding and lets me basically do whatever the hell I like while she watches the kids. She just asks me for help when she needs it. I am still one of these players. I'm still one of these players that looks at my Ascendant Shards and go, okay, I've got 2. That means I can't masterwork my transversive steps. I have a set of masterworked geomags for my Chaos Reach build. Are they perfect for that Chaos Reach build? No. Am I likely to masterwork another set of geomags? Probably not, because I'm not of the people who are looking in their postmaster and seeing this. You know, this picture that we've got right here, which is 46 prisms and 7 shards just sat there waiting.
Now, I sort of have ended up positioning myself sort of on the fence here. Because I'm sort of like in the position where, like, yes, I would, like, I had a full set of masterworked armor, including 2 helmets. One of them was exotic, one of them wasn't. You know, because I used to, up until this season, really, because I haven't really played Hunter much this season, I was on domain, so I would usually run Golden Gun. So I would have a legendary helmet masterworked, and I would have a celestial masterworked. And then the rest of the set, I would have a set masterworked that I used for things, and then I was in the process of making a crucible set that I could switch between the 2 sets when I'm doing different things. And I could only do that because Bungie added other ways to get the materials, so like I could get copious amounts of cores and then throw them at the gunsmith.
Yeah.
But I wasn't quite at the point where, like, I was doing the GMs and I was doing these higher end activities to get a core or a shard, like, within a couple of hours.
I guess you could chalk this up to my lack of experience, but I've been playing D2 I'm 3 hours on D2 away from 400 hours in D2. I saw my first masterworked set, like I saw my first like masterworked item piece about a month and a half ago. I just got my first masterworked set like 3 days ago. So I have a set of masterworked legendaries, and I have a dragon shadow masterworked on my hunter. And that's like the extent of everything that I have masterworked. And I'm broke on legendary shards, I'm broke on cores, I'm broke on enhancement prisms, and I don't see golf balls. Like,
yeah. You see, I am you think about it, right? When it comes to me doing those solo flawless, as I mentioned a minute ago, one of the things that were available to me when I did them back in Season of Arrivals was the Hive mods, was the Taken mods, right? So I had 2 sets of armor, 1 for each dungeon. I had a masterworked set of Leviathan armor. It didn't matter what Leviathan armor because I had ornaments on it to make it all look the same anyway. So there was pieces in there from the Menagerie, there was pieces in there from Leviathan, there was pieces in there from Crown of Sorrow, pieces in there from Eater of Worlds and Spire of Stars. But they all had ornaments on them to change them, so it was just because they were the ones that could slot the Hive mods. Now, obviously, what made that quite simple was if I wanted to go for an actual roll on an item for a bit for the build, I could just go into Menagerie, keep grinding the Menagerie exclusive armor, specific armor, until I got the role, 20 intellect or whatever it was I wanted to go into doing this dungeon. And then by that same token, I had the same thing with regards to the Taker mods. Now they only work in Last Wish. Prior to that, prior to Beyond Light and in Season of Arrivals, they worked everywhere. Anytime there was Taken, you put Taken mods on, boom, they worked. Which is part of why Gambit's ammo economy pre Beyond Light was so scoped. Like, everybody had heavy. Because most people were running Taken armaments. Well, here's the thing. I had both of those sets masterworked. When they came around with, sunsetting, both of those sets would have been sunset at the end of this year, coming into what would be Witch Queen, but obviously they've pushed back Witch Queen. So I'm there like, well, there's no point in me keeping these sets now. They only hold mods that are useless, pretty much. For me to be able to get them to hold mods that aren't useless, I've got to go and... Because they were, the seasonal ones where you could only put in the seasonal mods. So in the Hive mods ones, I could only put in the Garden mods or the Hive mods. In the armor that I had from Last Wish, I could only put in the Taken mods or the Fallen mods from Scourge of the Past. So one of the things that I basically turned around and said is, because they changed the whole armor system coming into Beyond Light, is, well, there's no point in me keeping those, so I dismantled them. Did I get a lot of cores from them? Yes. Did I get, I got like 6. Did I get a lot of prisms from them? I think I got about 6 again. Did I get my golf ball back? No. And I think that is a huge issue as well. It's like, if there's a piece of gear that you want to, like, infuse because you've got a better roll of it, you either infuse that into your new roll and you lose every piece of material you ever got put into that original piece, or you you break that one down, infuse something else into the new piece to bring it up to light or whatever, and you've lost, like, your golf ball if you've masterworked it, but you gain, all these other materials that are more easily obtained than the golf ball. Like, at this point, you go and hand in a few engrams to Master Rahul, you get quite a fair few of enhancement cores. Like, same with handing in weapon parts to Banshee, like, you get enhancement cores. So I think that it is something that needs to be worked on, if that makes sense. And then also with this new system they've put in with Crucible and Gambit, to just, like, offer an Ascendant Shard the first time you reset, and then it's an exotic engram ever from there on out. Like, I think that's kind of a kick in the teeth to those that can't play the top tier content where Ascendant Shards are readily available, because they might get 1 or 2, maybe 3 or 4, I can't remember how many are on the season pass, and then they'll get the 1 for resetting each of these, reputations, and then they might buy a few from Banshee using, what Kit said, the cores prisms method. Like, that's expensive.
Very.
And not only in, in-game materials from Banshee, but in time. And typically you'll find the people who are going to be putting in that time to do that are those that don't have enough time to play the game 8 to 10 hours a day, like myself. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
but it's a balancing act at the same time, because you can't make it too easy for those that play 2 hours a night to get this stuff, because then those that, I go back in November when they took contest away from DSC. Those that were used to running raids that had a degree of challenge to them, like Garden and Last Wish and Crown, on a regular basis, like Glad, and those that were used to running those raids and attempting, you know, low player attempts at those raids. So one of the things that Glad did just before Beyond Light, when Crown of Sorrow went away, is he duoed Crown of Sorrow with Chevy, I believe. They look at those and go, oh, okay, that's the difficulty. 6 people isn't difficult. And I remember there being a big kerfuffle because Glad turned around and went, DSC is too easy. And then you had the rest of us that were going, bollocks, is it too easy? Like, it's still hard. Just because its contest's gone away, like, there needs to be a degree of difficulty there for those that do think that, you know, normal is too easy. But don't be changing normal to be harder for the hardcore. You know what I mean? And I think this system, as it works right now, is they've got hardcore players in mind with these systems of, oh, well, casuals aren't going to have time to get 20 Ascendant Shards on, you know, having 30 saved in their postmasters for each character. But then even those that have got, you know, because you can basically hold a maximum of 40, right? You can hold 3 characters worth of 10 in your postmaster, so there's 30, and then you can hold 10 in your inventory. A maximum of 40. So even those that have got that 40 aren't readily just going out and going, oh, okay, I'm going to spend all 10 of these and masterwork a whole bunch of exotics. Like, I'm going to masterwork 3 exotics and a legendary, and then I'm just going to grind GMs until I get more. They're not doing that. Because they're saving them for a time where they will need them for another exotic or legendary that they want to masterwork for a particular build or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, thank you very much for using that exact phrase, because I want to move on to exotics you would want to masterwork.
Target farmed.
Target farming, yes. So it appears there is a way to make use of the Lost Sector rotations to do an easier Lost Sector, but then get the rewards from one that you would consider harder.
Alright.
Basically, you can get the engram, and if it sits in your postmaster waiting, when you pick it up, it'll be from the current week's rotation rather than whenever it dropped.
Well, they're daily, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, yeah.
So,
rotation.
I read it. I read a little bit into this because I wanted to know, obviously, because this is the sort of thing I'd probably go and do. I wanted to know how it worked, and it's basically you fill up, as it says here, you fill up your engram inventory with, you know, primes, umbrals, whatever it may be, so that when you pick up an exotic from, as Kit said, a Lost Sector you would consider easier. So back when the Lost Sectors were Cosmodrome and Europa, people would say that one of the easiest ones is Bunker E15 on Europa, and one of the harder ones on Europa, at least on Europa, was the one that's in the Abyss. I forget what its fucking name is, but that's the one I did on Master anyway, like the most difficult setting. So yeah, you would fill up your, you know, postmaster with as many of these exotic engrams as you could, and then let's say that particular day is chest armor. So rather and you're not going for a Curious of Falling Star like the Titan, but you want a good set of, I don't know, Icefall mantles for a Titan, or Ursa Furiosas, since, you know, that seems to be the meta right now with GMs. You would just wait until one of the difficulty that you did for those exotic engrams to rotate over to arms, and then just cash in all those exotic engrams, because then they would just drop arms until obviously such time where you would get the exotic that you was after, or said role of what you was after. Which
So I was not aware of this. Did they ever
I
patch this?
I wasn't aware of this either. This was an article that he did. When was it?
I don't believe this has been patched yet.
28th of
I've not
March.
seen any mention of it since then. So it's only a few days ago.
Yeah,
I've
it's
not
only a
seen
few
any
days
mention
ago.
of this in any of like patch notes or anything like that, and I have been looking for it because knowing our luck, because we did remember when I had like, oh yeah, here's these tweets, and then like you just follow the thread further down, and since I added to the doc, there'd been some resolutions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been keeping an eye on this, and I haven't seen anything else on this, so it doesn't look like it's been patched.
See, if I wasn't going to play Outriders tomorrow on stream, I would test this on stream. Like,
yeah.
But speaking of tomorrow, I'm conscious we've got 20 minutes until it is tomorrow for us, and we run out of time. And I know that Noob does need to get off to work. So if at any point you need to shoot Noob, just let us know, and we'll sort of finish out from here. One of the things that I added to the doc this week was I saw this tweet from Lysis. They was on about how people have been asking for skill-based matchmaking when it comes to trials because they don't want to be playing sweats all the time. And so they turned around and said skill-based matchmaking versus card-based matchmaking. Card-based, you get better at the game. You have a better chance of going flawless. So obviously, as you get higher up in your cards, you're going to be playing people who are at the same level in the cards, and so the likelihood is you are going to slowly increase yourself getting better at the game, playing against people that are on the same card and skill level because they've hit that card. Whereas skill-based matchmaking, your chances of winning 7 are 50-50. So it's in a row are 1 in 128. So that means no matter how much better at the game you get, it doesn't change. Why? And so their question was, why would you want skill-based matchmaking? And they said at this point, there is, to be honest, skill-based trials is just kind of fucked from a design standpoint. I don't have a good way of fixing it, but I'm telling you, skill-based matchmaking isn't it. I am a big proprietor of people who turn around and go, you know, in, for argument's sake, pubs with regards to Destiny, Call of Duty, whatever it is. I am one of the people that says skill-based matchmaking does need to have a degree of influence, because I don't want to be going in at a 0.8 and playing against somebody who is, you know, a 0.3, a 0.5, because to me, they are basically a god at the game, and there is no chance of me fucking beating them. I want to play people who are better than me so that I can get better, but I don't want them so far in advance of me that it's like me tickling, you know, a Titan. And I'm not talking a Titan in the sense of a Destiny Titan, I'm talking a Titan in the sense of an Attack on Titan. And yes, there's your anime reference for anybody. So, Witty, who we've had on this podcast, said Trials definitely doesn't need skill-based matching. I want player pools that keep playing without worrying about what losses and flawless. I like the idea of a card you can go up to 5 or 7 wins without losses hurting you, or so you can always attain loot, but you can't get to the lighthouse with that card. So essentially what Witty is implying is there will be a card kind of like the Mercy card, but you wouldn't have any loss check marks on your thing. You could only be able to go to the wins portion of the card, so you could only go to 5 wins if they made it 5 wins on that card. But you could only go to 7 wins on that card, but you wouldn't be able to, if you got all 7 wins on that card, and, you know, because obviously the losses aren't registered, you wouldn't be able to go to the lighthouse with that card, even though it's 7 wins and it looks on the card like you've gone flawless. You could lose as many times as you like, basically, and just play on the same card continuously. And this has been a thing that I've thought about since I've, you know, been taking more more part in trials when we had Igneous Hammer and then we had Messenger, because I was like so close countless times to getting the 3 wins to where I'd get that drop. And we got 2, so we got 2 wins and we have 3 losses. And it's like, okay, now I've got to reset the card and we've got to win 3 games again. Like,
I would say that if you're gonna have a card like that, limit it to 5 wins. Don't let it go as far as 7, because then you have the incentive to use the other cards and to use your 5 win cap card as sort of like a practice window, so that get used to the different levels of player you're up against leading
Yeah.
up to the 5.
Makes
Get
sense.
used to the way
I
trials
agree.
works, and then you use your other cards where you've then got a bit of a risk to try and get your 7.
And then, so Founder of Favored, Half-Maddox, also raises a valid point. They can't do skill-based. Because how are you supposed to know if the person on the account is doing a recover?
Yeah.
Think about it, right? So, I am a 0.8, as I mentioned. What if I got Grenadier Jake to do a recover for me? He's got what? A 3.0 at me? I hadn't looked his stats up, to be honest, but he's pretty fucking good at trials. Like, his gameplay compared to mine is not going to be comparable. Like, do you know what I mean? He's going to be putting up numbers I could only dream of. You can't do skill based in that. The only way you'd be able to do a skill based is, you know, do something about recall, which is technically against Bungie's terms of service, by the way. So if anybody's watching who does recalls, guess what? Technically breaking the terms of service and could be banned at any point. Just saying. But yeah, so I wanted to bring this up because we are all PvE players, right?
PvP here.
Okay, PvP. But I haven't seen you play trials, so I haven't seen you mention trials on Twitter or anything. So,
Yeah,
but
no.
we're not like the top tier, you know, play trials every weekend players is what I'm basically getting at.
Not. No, not I.
So I want to bring this up because this is technically, essentially, it would be people like us that are asking for this skill-based matchmaking. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, oh well, I'm a PvE player. I've got a 0.8 in Crucible. I don't want to be going up against a 5.5 in trials. Like, I want to just go in, get my loot, and get out. Like,
well, honestly,
no, it's that's not like he says. It's not how it's gonna work. So, but yeah, go on.
You know, I think that skill-based matchmaking would be the completely wrong move for trials in general. As somebody from the outside looking in, I've played trials a couple of times. Like, you have to go with card-based matchmaking, not just because skill-based matchmaking doesn't make sense from like a game perspective, because skill-based matchmaking will run trials' play rate back into the dirt. I promise. Like, nobody's going to play the game mode if they're playing a 50-50 gamble. That's like Bungie already set the precedent when they patched the Hake emblem glitch. Gambling in trials is not allowed according to them. Skill-based matchmaking is just a glorified version of gambling. If your shot is always 50-50, you are walking into trials at a gamble. So Bungie has now set the precedent that that is not allowed and that they will disable trials if that happens. So when skill-based matchmaking comes around, like when skill-based matchmaking, like if they try to put skill-based matchmaking back in, every pro player is going to be like, so you disable Hake emblems, but you put this in the game. Okay. Like they're like that's gonna invoke such a community outrage that Bungie's not gonna be able to properly deal with.
Okay, let's fly through the last couple of topics because they don't really need to be 100% covered.
No,
it has
quickly run over the things.
Yeah, it has been covered that Venus will not return with Vault of Glass.
Sadness.
Yeah, there's some people kind of hoping for it because obviously, you know, we all know Vault's coming back, or Glass Room as one of the mistranslations calls it. But yeah, no, the Patrol Zone isn't coming with it. There's a link somewhere to the actual interview in this article. I'm pretty sure.
Changes?
But yeah,
No,
the patrol zone. No, not that one.
I'm not seeing it right now.
I'll see what I can-
Reported by Destiny News. There's a tweet here anyway. So yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a community manager tweet. That's what it was. But yeah, Venus isn't coming back. But in another sort of response along the same thread as well, there when I looked at the thing, was that while the patrol zone isn't coming back, because of the way that they can do, bring back vault and stuff without having the entire patrol space, they could do the same with other things like crucible maps and stuff. Is that, I mean, I think we've got some in the game now where the actual destination is vaulted, but we've still got the map.
Yeah, the maps that are on Mercury come to mind. So yeah, we wanted to cover that because obviously that's a guaranteed with regards to Vault Glass coming next season. Then there was this. There's been a bunch of memes about the Evergreen ship going around Twitter because it was stuck in the Suarez Canal. One Destiny developer was it, or Destiny community member? No, Elliot Gray, I believe, is a developer. Anyway, brought back the old Galahorn meme. Was it back in Destiny 1? It was there was a meme where it was basically, okay, this is in your way. What do you use? Galahorn. This is in your way. So it was like different bosses in Destiny. So one of them was Crota. Crota's in your way. Galahorn.
Was one of them the door that wouldn't open up during Season of the Warmind?
I think somebody did post that actually back in. But no, that was Season of the Worthy.
Yeah,
when
Worthy.
they had,
I said Warmind. Whoops.
Yeah, when you had it was the door to Felwinter's like coffin, wasn't it?
Yeah,
essentially,
it was
wouldn't
the last
open.
quest step.
Wouldn't open. Yeah, I believe somebody. I remember seeing something about that. Like somebody posted the Galahorn meme for that. So yeah,
it was broke for an entire weekend. People were furious.
So yeah, it says here Destiny 2 developer Elliot Gray. But yeah, basically just a caption of I've had enough. So he's had enough of hearing it. What's interesting though, if you look at the photo, is the D2 hood.
Yes. However, it does also say right there avoid grenade launcher.
Yeah.
So.
So have they been testing bringing Gali back, bringing it back as something else? Maybe.
I would assume not at this
I'd
point.
assume not as well, but
you would expect it to have.
Speaking of Bungie doing things, they did the this week as Bungie as usual. We always cover this at the end of the podcast before we get the guest to do, the promotional things and the last few questions that we have for you, Noob. So they've got a bunch of things about gear because obviously Ada 1's returning in season 14.
Yes.
Main points of note for that bit is that where you get your mods from Banshee now, you'll get them from Ada. She'll have some armors, sort of like rotating around with different roles on. Banshee will have a set of weapons from the world pool. They'll be rotating in and out with different roles on them. They'll be like fixed at the start of each week, so it's not like you go and it's like a random roll every time you look at it and stuff. What else was they saying? And then that was pretty much it for that first bit, I think, because they were changing stuff around because they were going to have all of the stuff for armor, and then the gunsmith's going to be just guns. And then they were looking at like perks and stuff with Last One Standing, sort of like Celerity and that.
Yeah, Celerity and Bottomless Grief. I've already seen a bunch of people tweeting about this on Twitter. Long story short, they're making changes to them.
So instead of being a random roll, they'll be you'll get your usual random roll, and then there'll be like an additional option in that last column to switch to celerity or to switch to Bottomless Grief, depending on where you got the item from.
Ah, makes sense. It was only be on adept weapons.
No, so I think
Right.
it
Well,
probably would just be on adept weapons, to be honest. Now that I think about it, it would make most sense. But that bit there is they
we've
do
seen.
look at, like,
We've
different
seen all your
concepts.
suggestions to make them intrinsic
Yeah.
on only adept versions. I want to touch on this idea. Grammatically, it's a cool idea. Blah, 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 blah.
Programmatically, they've got a point with this in that the structure that they have for what is a weapon only has so many slots for perks and things.
Hmm.
Even if you've got some things that are intrinsic and not necessarily listed as a perk, you've only got so many like different things that a weapon can apply to the player. So like adding an extra thing that's intrinsic and then having that slot be something else as well, it just doesn't fit in the
Yeah.
space they've allocated for. Okay, this is the number of things.
One of the things I did see this on Twitter. I think it was Ill Physics actually tweeted this out. Bottomless Grief permanently active and giving plus 30 to the magazine.
Woohoo.
That's actually stupid. I've got a fucking thingy with Bottomless Grief. A palindrome from when they first, brought.
So I don't know whether it would be. I think you would have to be the last person on your fire team alive to trigger that, but then it's from then onward permanently for the rest of that, like.
Oh, maybe.
Session, rather than just being as soon as you spawn onward. Because otherwise, the little point of being Bottomless Grief, it may as well just be extended mag or whatever.
True. But it is now a fixed alternate perk in the left column on adept drops of Nightfall. You can switch between that and a randomly rolled perk on the inspection screen. Does that make sense? Same with the trials ones with celerity. The celerity now permanently active and gives plus 20 to reload and handling. Okay.
Okay.
Spooky Scary Stream Team. Oh, Presage Exotic Mission Developer Deep Dive. Like they did with the Deepstone Crypt Deep Dive a month ago? I believe, Kit? Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe
yeah.
2?
Might have mentioned it on one of the things.
We did mention it on one of the podcasts.
Of our many episodes, I'm gonna have to start putting dates on these.
Yes,
so
sure.
I can see.
Yes, we are. Anyway, we did cover the patch. They did a patch earlier with regards to, changes. One of those changes was that Guardian Games Ghost Shells are coming back. Flawless Dungeons. Flawless Triumphs were rewarded for dungeon completions. So while previously they were awarded on an individual basis for not dying in it, they're now award on a fire team basis instead. This means that every member of your fire team will need to have no deaths during an activity for the Flawless Triumph to be awarded for each dungeon. This is actually not that great because previously I did this actually. The very next Pit of Heresy I did after I did my solo Flawless was I took a friend of ours. Is actually, if you look in the Legionnaires section of my Discord, Battle Liner, right, very at the top. He's an Xbox player, somebody I met through Smooth Brain Sev. He needed a solo and a flawless of but not necessarily the same run. Obviously, if he'd done them both in the same run, he would have got all 3 triumphs. But he needed a solo run and a flawless run of Pit of Heresy to get his Harbinger title. Had he done solo flawless like I did, he would have had obviously both of those triumphs and then the solo flawless one that he didn't need. But I turn around to him and says, well, you can do the solo one by yourself, right? It's just basically hit your head against a brick wall until you get it done. He goes, yeah, I can do that. Like, at some point, I will, spend the time to do that. Like, cool. Right. Well, what we'll do then is I'll just take you through, because I got the flawless triumph through going through it with devils and somebody else, and I went flawless on my Titan. So I know this works. I will just go through and complete it. You just keep yourself alive, and Bob's your uncle will get you the flawless. And, from there on out, you will have your title. He's like, cool, appreciate it. And I forever now have that on my dungeon report of him going flawless and me dying 5 times in the entirety of Pit of Heresy, whilst I basically carried him through it. So, yeah, it was quite fun. But now that basically means, this right here basically means that's impossible. You can't do that now. Your entire team needs to go flawless for you to get the flawless triumph.
That makes it way, way harder. But I mean, that also means that you have to have really good team coordination if you choose to go in there with a
Yeah.
team.
I've
It
heard
adds a
something
new
about
level.
this. Sorry, I went down to Movie of the Week, 8-bit remix of Deepstone Lullaby. I heard something about that going around. I need to listen to that. You've got the man with the golden gun, artist of the week, covering different artists in the thingy. Then got an April Fool's joke, and it's fairly light twab this week. And then, a bunch of different things that Cosmo wants to add on to the end there. Basically, so like I am still in need of the flawless master presage. So that now means that the entire team needs to go flawless for me to get that. Whereas prior to this, it just needed me to go flawless.
That didn't work. Shit, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that seems to be mostly it for the 12.
Is it? That is it.
Cross save works the way cross save has always worked. So
yeah,
make sure it's set up if you're planning to use it. And a couple of questions for Noob now then.
What you guys got for me?
Well, it's the usual stuff at the end of the stream, really.
I've done most of the talking. You can ask this time.
I always butcher these. Thanks for coming on. It has been fun. I haven't talked an awful lot. But on the flip side, you've done quite a bit of talking today, which was great. We've got some good stuff in from you, which I like to see. So if, do you have anyone in mind that you think you'd like to see us have on or listen to on the podcast?
Somebody I'd like to see you guys have on.
Or if we ask you to come on again that you'd like to feature with.
Let's see. People around the community. Let's see. The Ghost Possum, Gopo. He is absolutely insane. He's amazing.
He
he plays a lot. He does the PvE things. He's wonderful. I would love to see him here. Of course, I've got the homie Clean Plays, who does a lot of PvP, but he's actually he's got this positivity and this growth mindset that's absolutely insane, and it usually translates to wonderful conversations with him. I think it would be awesome to see him show up on one of these. So those would be like the two that I'd really be looking for.
Cool. And for those of us who are not those of us because we're here, for those watching and listening on the platforms, where can they find you?
Oh, you can find me. You can follow me anywhere I'm available, therefore Twitch and Twitter at NuubIRL. I will have a YouTube coming up in a few months. So if you guys are seeing this at a later date, you probably can go hit me over at YouTube at NuubIRL.
No doubt when you do have that set up, you'll post like a link on Twitter or in your about section on Twitch anyway, so people could probably find it that way as well. So yeah, as Kit said, and I'd like to echo it, It was a pleasure having you on. I wish
Thank
we had to
you.
have got you on, a couple of weeks back, so we could have talked a bit more about what you have done to prepare to be an affiliate, rather than
Hey,
oh
look.
look, you was an affiliate 3 days ago. But hey, people are busy. We understand that. So
Thank
we
you
just
so much
appreciate you
for
taking the
having
time.
me. I would have been on sooner, but the girlfriend said no. Her word is law. She is like, we have stuff to do Thursday, so her word is law. But thank you so much for having me. It's genuinely been a pleasure talking to you guys. You guys are absolutely wonderful. Have been
Yeah.
nothing but kind and amazing to me since I've met you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, very much appreciate you again coming on. I know from, like I said earlier, my fiance, so engaged, and like happy wife, happy life is the way I look at
Ain't that the
it.
truth?
But for right now, I'm going to look for someone that we can raid real quick. So one of the things we did do a couple weeks back, I think it was when we had Cephalopod on the podcast, just before I asked you to come on, was we raided you because you were live. So I doubly appreciate it, because I did see your tweet earlier this morning when you turned around and says, no stream from me today, but I'm going to be live over on, the podcast with Intrepid. So again, I appreciate that. For anybody who is a future guest,
Of
you
course.
are free to co-stream it. Obviously, we just let you know that it is going to be uploaded to my YouTube, and Kit's going to upload it to Spotify, etc. So, perfect. Speaking of Gopo, he's live. So let's go and take the
Wonderful.
we'll take the train on over to him. So one thing I will do just quickly for anybody who is here live is I am a member of Favored. I'll just quickly do my usual clan shout outs. In the sense of, in my chat, I'll do ! clan streams and ! clan Twitter. Favored is an awesome group of people. Most of them do stream. There are a few people that don't. If you want to join for whatever reason, you met somebody who is in Favored, who's you seem like you vibe with or whatever, hit the clan Twitter up with a DM, or Hathmatics or Baggy Noodle Arms, which is actually, like I said earlier, how I met Noob, was Baggy. So very much appreciated on that front. Now into the formality that is the raid. And we'll go and raid Ghost Possum right now. Make sure I got his name right. We do love Baggy. Oh, our homies love Baggy. Let me open up his stream in another tab, so I've got it ready to go. So anybody who is in my personal streams, usually by now you know the drill. You just spam my 2 emotes. You can use channel points to unlock those if you would like. If you would not, or you're new here, you don't want to sub or whatever, you don't have to. We will have you type in the Twitch generic raid emotes, which are global and everybody has access to them, which are those 2 right there. Again, appreciate you having taking time out of your day, Noob, to come and talk to us. And very glad to have you on. And that's it, basically. Goodbye from me. So do you guys want to say anything in closing before we just hit the raid button? I'll take that as a no. Okay, have a great.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of cutting out, Trev.
Oh,
Which is weird because you're cutting out for us, but not for the stream. Oh, well,
there you go.
Okay, so
Discord's
it's
being
not
stupid
just
again.
me.
All right, so 7 seconds. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Okay, that was a mess.
Yeah.
God damn it, Discord. Why can't you just behave?
I think it's my internet because it's like loading up the stream